Welcome, everyone, to a very special, exclusive session of the Flow Tao Salon, or as our core community knows it, Taoze Salon. If you're joining us today, you probably already sense that the way we buy things is shifting right beneath our feet. I mean, think about it. We're not really just buying physical stuff anymore, are we? The whole nature of retail is evolving into something way deeper. We're buying feelings. We're buying identities. Over the next 10 minutes, we're going to take a deep, intellectual dive into an explainer that completely unpacks one of the most fascinating economic phenomena of our time. We're looking at exactly how a super niche hobby transformed into an absolute economic juggernaut. To really wrap our heads around this, we need the absolute gold standard of data. So we're relying on a truly massive, comprehensive study conducted by the KPMG China Research Institute. Specifically, we're digging into their definitive report from April 2026. The title is quite a mouthful, but it sets the stage perfectly. Panorama Insight and Trend Prospect of Art Toy Industry, New Darling of Emotion, Ecological Construction. What KPMG realized here is that this isn't just some fleeting trend. It's not a fad. It actually represents a permanent restructuring of modern consumer behavior. It's rigorous, on-the-ground research showing how an obscure subculture just exploded into a primary driver of the modern economy. So here is our game plan for the next 10 minutes. First up, we'll explore emotion-driven consumption. Next, we're going to quantify that with the 100 billion market boom. Then we'll look under the hood at the flexible supply chains that make this all possible, followed by the brilliant strategies behind IP matrix operations. And finally, we'll synthesize all of this into 3 core values you need to take away today. All right, let's jump right into section 1, emotion-driven consumption. We've got to fundamentally reframe how we look at these art toys. The Chinese government itself has identified emotional consumption as a massive growth area. And the data from the KPMG report, it backs this up in a huge way. Get this, a staggering 92.7% of youth actively recognize their need for emotional value. Think about what that actually means for a second. In our fast-paced, incredibly high-stress world, consumers are literally hunting for what the report beautifully translates as spiritual docking. They just want a safe harbor to decompress, you know? So when a young professional buys a blind box, they aren't just buying molded plastic. No way. They're buying a deeply tactile experience. They are paying for that sudden burst of dopamine when they tear the foil, and that instant sense of belonging when they share their pull with an online community. The emotion is the actual product. The toy, that's just the physical vessel carrying it. So how does a deep psychological need turn into cold, hard cash? That brings us to section 2, the 100 billion market boom. China is in the middle of a massive shift to a consumption-driven economy. And because of that intense demand for spiritual docking, the art toy sector is acting like rocket fuel for this shift. In 2025, the market is sitting at an already mind-blowing 82.5 billion RMB. But by 2030, this report projects it's going to absolutely skyrocket to 213.3 billion RMB. That's a compound annual growth rate of 18.7%. And it's not just teenagers anymore. We're talking about urban millennials, young professionals with disposable income, and even older generations who just want a cool desk companion to break up the workday. We are literally watching a niche subculture transform into a dominant, mainstream economic powerhouse right before our eyes. Which leads us perfectly into the operational reality in section 3, flexible supply chains. Look, explosive consumer demand is great, but actually fulfilling it without drowning in unsold inventory, that's the real trick. The old school way of blind guessing a trend and ordering massive shipping containers full of product is completely dead. Today, survival is all about the digital, flexible supply chain. First, companies use AI to scrape social media, predict color palettes, and build massive IP reserves. Second, they link the design straight to production, completely slashing delays. But the real magic is step 3, small batch rapid feedback. Instead of waiting 18 months, these brands run a crazy tight 6-month loop. They drop a small batch, test the waters, and use real-time tracking to see what happens. If it flops, they kill it. No dead stock. But if it goes viral, they scale up instantly. It's brilliant, risk-mitigated manufacturing. And this operational agility is exactly what allows companies to master our 4th topic, IP matrix operations. The intellectual property, the character itself, is the soul of the art toy. But to conquer a 200 billion RMB market, one cute character isn't going to cut it. We are seeing a brilliant dual playbook right now. On one side, you have mass market giants like Miniso. They use a massive layered IP matrix, mixing original characters with juggernauts like Disney or Sanrio. They cast a massive net, pulling in $2.4 billion in gross merchandise value. Pure volume. But on the other side, you have vertical niche players like Wulu Culture playing a totally different game. They don't want everyone to buy their stuff. They focus entirely on high net worth fans, creating highly scarce, premium film and TV cards. They use artificial scarcity and deep lore to build ultimate status symbols. Both strategies are wildly profitable, just engineered for totally different crowds. We also have to talk about where all this is heading next. The tech frontier is completely redefining the word toy. The KPMG report flags a wild trend where companies are actually integrating AI dialogue modules right into the figures. Imagine coming home from a brutal day and your collectible doesn't just sit there. It recognizes your voice, remembers what you talked about last week, and responds in character. AI companion robots are stepping out of sci-fi and onto retail shelves. The line between a plastic figure and a personalized digital companion is basically vanishing, which obviously skyrockets the lifetime value of that IP. Okay, let's bring it all together for Section 5, the 3 core art toy values. If you only remember 3 things from our entire 10-minute explainer on this KPMG report, make it these. Number 1, emotional value is the new consumer currency. You're not selling a physical object anymore, you're selling a spiritual docking point. If your product doesn't make people feel comforted or seen, you're toast. Number 2, data-driven, agile supply chains are absolutely mandatory. The era of guessing is over. If you can't run a fast, 6-month small batch feedback loop, your competitors will eat you alive. And number 3, dynamic IP lifecycle ecosystems define long-term success. You have to create living worlds that evolve from a piece of vinyl on a shelf all the way into digital spaces and AI companionship. The evolution of this entire industry is just a masterclass in modern economics, blending art, lightning-fast tech, and deep human connection. So before we part ways, I want to leave you with one big question. If emotional value is truly the new currency, what specific spiritual docking is your brand providing in a world that feels increasingly automated? It has been an absolute pleasure walking through these insights with you. Thank you so much for joining me for this deep dive. And as we close out this session, I want to leave you with our special sign-off. 陶zei Salon, Ma Nian Sing Long.